Welcome to the Outsourcing Blueprint, where scaling your business gets smarter, not harder. Hosted by Scott Smith, an outsourcing expert with over 20 years of global experience. From India to Alaska to South Africa, Scott's passion for people drives his mission to help you build powerhouse teams created for success. Grab your coffee, your boldest dreams, and your blueprint. It's time to build the business you've always wanted. Let's go.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Outsourcing Blueprint. I'm your host, Scott Smith, your outsourcing and team building expert. Today's guest is Julie Riga. She's a leadership coach and consultant with over 20 years of experience helping CEOs and entrepreneurs lead and grow with confidence and reach their next level of success. She specializes in purpose-driven leadership, clear communication, and strategic development, guiding professionals to unlock their potential. Welcome, Julie.
Well, so excited to be here today. Thank you so much for having me.
You know what? I'm so excited to have you. You are the landmark guest, our first person to be here on the Outsourcing Blueprint podcast. So we're really glad that you're here. And I want to ask you the first question of the podcast. Are you ready? Julie, what is your boldest dream?
My boldest dream right now is to turn my father's book into a movie.
Really? That
or a
sounds
documentary.
amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, a movie or a documentary. I think both of those sound fantastic. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, you asked me for my boldest dreams, and there it is.
No, I totally understand. And I'm a little bit, I think, wow, I wonder what you'll cast me as.
I'm not quite sure yet.
I would be a fantastic Ennio Riga, just in case you wondered.
You could be, or you could be the outsource expert building teams that help to design the program.
Yes, I could be the outsourcing expert helping build teams to help design the program.
Let's talk about your new podcast.
Let's talk about my podcast.
That you are going to have this amazing new podcast. I just want to know for the listeners today, where this idea came from. Where did this idea birth from for you to have a podcast?
So it came from a coach that I once hired, and her name was Julie. And I remember when we first got started, we were talking about that I really needed to get my message out there more. And the way for me to do that effectively was through podcasting. And so when you introduced me to the concept of having a podcast, I really didn't understand what that was going to look like, because I've listened to so many, but I hadn't really been on many, right? And the concept of being able to get my message out there and then to create a platform for others to get their message out there is exactly what this is about. And, the vision for this is pretty big. I don't know that it's as bold as yours to turn your father's book into a movie or a documentary.
Well, I know that you have a lot of big, bold dreams. I saw the org chart to prove it. So, I mean, there's a pretty bold, big dream underneath that. And
there is.
I want to know from a podcasting perspective, what can our listeners or your listeners really get out of this podcast when they're listening?
That's a really good question. So the design of the Outsourcing Blueprint podcast really is about helping companies to be prepared to be able to build and grow teams wherever they're going to do them. So we put teams in place here in the US. We put teams in place in offshore countries, places like India or the Philippines or Africa, Eastern Europe, South America, you name it. Wherever somebody really wants to build and grow a team or needs a certain skill or task performed, I have the teams to be able to do that. And not only do I have the teams, but I have the knowledge and the understanding of how they can best set those teams up for success. So on this podcast, what we want to do is give, tips and tricks and introduce skills that people can use to create opportunities for themselves and their business. So, do you mind if I kind of paint the picture for that? Is that all right?
Yeah, well, please do, Scott. Please do.
Okay, great. So, the idea, Julie, is that we want people to maximize their reach out to global talent, right? The global talent that's out there in the world today is absolutely insane. The level of skill and the knowledge that people have. And so many of those resources today are really untapped. And so we want companies to be able to tap into those resources. And one of the great things is that it doesn't matter if the company is huge, or if they're a medium-sized company, or even if they're small, or honestly, if they're just getting started. We can help them with the resource that they need. So, for example, a company that is maybe just getting started and, a solopreneur or an entrepreneur doesn't have the resources necessarily to do all of the things that they need to do. Well, we can give them resources that will help them to drive success. A virtual assistant, for example, we can plug that person into that very small organization, and suddenly there's somebody to manage appointments, to set appointments, to manage the calendar, to make sure that tasks are being completed, to make sure that social media is kept up to date and kept fresh, that copy is freshly written, that the message is getting out there. There's just so many things that a solopreneur or an entrepreneur could do by outsourcing part of something that they would normally do themselves. So we'll talk about those things, and we'll talk about how medium-sized and larger-sized businesses can successfully build teams by deciding, one, what they need to focus on, what their core business function is, versus what might be easy for them to move. And we'll talk about, quick hit wins that they can get on being able to put teams together in lower cost centers. That's what a lot of the things that we're going to talk about are going to be focused on. But we're also going to talk to people that have had experience outsourcing. We're going to talk to, CEOs and COOs and operations directors, chiefs of staff, people that have had experience with outsourcing work. We're going to talk about their experience and talk about them learning what they've learned so that they can share some of the wealth of their knowledge with everybody else out there in the world who might benefit from it. We're going to talk to people who are doing the outsourcing work, to companies and individuals that are being outsourced to. We're going to talk about how their processes go and how effectively it works for them and the difference that it's made for them in their lives. And, we'll look at business, but we'll also dive deep and get personal. And we'll talk about how it's affected people on a personal level as well, so that people really understand the depth of the impact that outsourcing really can have for individuals and communities. And then lastly, we'll talk to people, that are affected by outsourcing on the other end. Sometimes people have their jobs sent overseas. We want to talk to people about those things too, because, not everything is fun, sunshine, and roses. And so we want to get a feel from those people for how those things have impacted them. And I believe that if we can focus in a very holistic way on the whole picture, we're going to be able to bring light to the realities of outsourcing, the benefits. We might even be able to create some understanding and, allow people to be able to make intelligent decisions in their businesses for the work that they really do need to move to an offshore or elsewhere to an onshore location. It's all about opening the conversation and helping people find solutions.
That is very interesting. So it's
That was a
about,
lot. I know that was a lot.
well, it's great because you just gave the framework of what we can expect by listening to your podcast, which I think is amazing. And I think the conversation needs to continue. We need to be able to have these conversations about outsourcing and explain the possibilities, because what I know to be true is that people are overworked. They do not have the time to get everything done and they have big dreams. Scott, people have big dreams.
Julie, they have huge dreams, right? So you talked about wanting to turn your father's book into a documentary or into a movie, right? Is that something that you can just do on your own?
No, not at all.
No. What do you need to have to be able to make a vision like that come true?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to say, I could start with ChatGPT, but I do need a bit of a script writer. I need some writers to help me write the pieces. Of course, if I do it documentary style, I could potentially do some interviews myself, which I can do, but I still need to hire a video crew. I need to hire probably an audio person. I need to get someone to help me edit it. And so I do need like at least a 3-man crew when I go out to shoot the video. And then whatever else I need to do to help get that video put on Netflix, because it's got to go on Netflix.
Oh, absolutely. You want to mass market that thing because people are going to want to hear that story.
Yeah, it's a really good story. It's a really good story. I have so many ideas on how to do it, either as a documentary or as a movie. It could be a series. And so it's funny. It's really funny because my father, before he died, he's like, Julie, it is a movie. It is a series, a TV series. It's a sitcom. He wanted it to be everything. He had this dream for it. And he had the dream for the book, but I helped him bring that to pass after he passed. And now I feel like if I have the opportunity to create the movie or the documentary, it is absolutely something I want to do.
See, I love that. And I have to ask, so your dad wanted you to finish his story, right? And he wanted you to get it out there to the world. And you just said, it's a book, it's a movie. I can't do it in the same voice that you did it in. But talk just for a minute about how it felt to be tasked by your father not long before he died with that responsibility.
Scott, I was very mad at him, like very mad at him. I said, Dad, when people die, usually they leave them money. They don't leave them a book to finish. I was supposed to get some sort of an inheritance when he passed away, right? Something. But no, I got a manuscript and a mother who said to me, I'm not giving you any money to help you finish this. My mother didn't give me any money. I kept asking her, I'm like, Mom, can you please help me? I have to do this for Dad. Just give me a little money. I was a single mom at the time, just trying to make ends meet. And I was desperately wanting help. And so what I did is I put a GoFundMe page up. I don't know if you know this story, but I put a GoFundMe page up so that the people that might have sent flowers to my house for my mother, they would give me money to finish his book. So I raised $4,000 on GoFundMe to write his book. And so my mother, knowing this, she would say to me, Julie, I'm not giving you any money until the day I finish the book. Do you want to hear what she said to me, Scott?
Absolutely.
She goes, how much money do you want, Julie? I said, Mom, what do you mean? How much money do I want? I knew I was going to be able to write a book if I had some money, because I knew, Scott, I needed a team. I made my own team. I hired some college students. I hired some editors and some book people that helped me do it. But I created my own mini team on how to write my book. And I knew that I could create it because I knew that in my past experiences from working, I know I could do anything as long as I have a team. It was all about the team, Scott. It tasked me with anything. If I have a team, I can finish it. So having known this, I quickly gathered my team and I did the book. And so after the book was finished, Mom says to me, how much money, Julie? I said, are you kidding me, Mom? For the last 2 years, you've watched me struggle. You watched me struggle writing this book and now you're going to give me money? I'm like, I don't understand. She said, Julie, a lot of people say they're going to write a book, but nobody actually writes a book. And everyone in the family was voting against you, that you were not going to do this. And I was just shocked. I said, Mom, really? Everyone was like betting against me. She goes, Julie, everyone was betting against you. Nobody thought you were going to do it. Like seriously. And I couldn't believe it. I said, Mom, people gave me $4,000. I couldn't let them down, and I couldn't let my father down because this is something that he really wanted.
Wow. Wow. So the whole family bet against you, including your mom. She was
Yeah.
buying in with the rest of the family.
Oh yeah, she was. Oh sure,
Wow.
100%.
Wow. But you did it. You got it done. And you know what? I didn't know you then, but I'm so proud of you for being able to do that. That really is meaningful. Yeah, I love that.
It
I
is.
want to come back to something that you said that I think is important to point out to everybody who's listening. You talked about the success that you were able to have because you pulled together your own team. And your experience in the corporate world taught you that the value of a team is, in business, kind of everything. Nobody can do everything just on their own.
That's right.
Everybody relies on somebody else. Nobody succeeds. And anybody listening, nobody succeeds on their own ever. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
You need people, whether it's you have an offering and you have people that are buying your product. You can't buy your own product and succeed. You need people to buy it. And that
Yes.
becomes part of your overarching expanded network or team, right?
Yes.
But then you need people to step in, and there are certain tasks that they have to do because you don't have time. And eventually, as you start to grow, whatever it is, the book, or in your business, for example, as you start to grow and scale your business, there's only one Julie Riga, and she's an amazing Julie Riga, don't get me wrong, but there's only one of you, and you can't be everywhere at once. You
Right.
need a team, right?
I do.
And that's the whole point.
It is the whole point. And I've even taken it a step further, Scott. So realizing that a lot of the people that come to work with me are small business entrepreneurs, and people that are used to working in corporate are used to working with teams. Okay. And when they lose the team, they lose a little bit of themselves, and they lose the accountability, they lose the excitement, and they are operating as a solopreneur. And so, what I've realized is that if I could help those people regain the aspect of having a team, I can help them be successful. But it really is all about the community and the people that we're bringing into the community. And those people in the community are becoming the team, helping each other succeed. And so to me, this is like the next level of all of this is that yes, we are moving into the gig economy 100%. So many people are starting businesses, and so many people are out on their own. They're an island to themselves. They need a team. And if they're not hiring people, if they can't hire people right now, eventually they will be able to, but they still need people around them. And so I've created a bunch of accountability groups for those people to join me, and so that I can help them be accountable to the work that they need to do so that they can be successful.
I think that's brilliant. And being able to focus on helping those people it's such a beautiful focus because people need that support. And the community, as it surrounds them while they're going through the struggle. And if anybody doesn't know, starting your business is a struggle. It's not an immediate win. And very few people, jump out the gate and all of a sudden they have a customer base and they're, making thousands or tens of thousands of dollars a month. That's just not how it usually goes for most businesses and most people. And, in 2025, I think we expect a significant shift in the number of businesses. You kind of alluded to this, and the number of businesses, the number of people that are going to be going out on their own. And, the gig economy, you talked about that and what an impact that has. And, a lot of money is spent and generated in that gig economy. And it affects a lot of us. in the work that we do and in the services that we purchase.
Yeah. It's a thing. It is happening. And the more we can rally together and create alliances, the easier it's going to be for us. Hence, create a team.
Create a team. And that's really the message. So as we look to, I think, wrap up this brief conversation, the message is, teams really matter. And just to define outsourcing for everybody, it doesn't mean necessarily having a person or a team of people that live in a foreign country. If you're not doing something yourself and you're paying somebody else to do it, that's outsourcing work. And what you need when you're going to do that is to make sure that you're doing it properly. Because if you have somebody to help you do it properly, can coach you through it, whether you're looking for an executive coach or a business coach like Julie, or you're looking for somebody to help you successfully build your team and to help you outsource your work, whether that's in the United States or it's somewhere offshore, and you bring in somebody like me, having an expert by your side will make all of the difference for you. So that's what we're going to talk about on this podcast. We're going to talk about teams. We're going to talk about people. We're going to talk about businesses. And we're going to talk about how to build and grow and scale those things together as a team. Julie, tell us what you're working on now.
So right now, the best thing that's going on is Monday nights. Monday nights, 7 p.m. before I speak is a group coaching program that I have available to people who want to level up their speaking skills. It's really fun.
Oh, Monday nights. So as somebody who gets to participate in Monday nights and has for the last few months, it's one of my favorite nights of the week. And I keep saying this every Monday night when we get to the end. That's the first thing that I say is, this is my favorite night of the week. The community that you have been building is powerful. And if people will come and participate, not only will they learn to be prepared to get up on stages, but they will be able to network. They'll be able to build relationships with people that matter. They'll be able to develop themselves and take your coaching so they can grow and develop through the things that you're learning and through the feedback that comes from the team. They're going to get better, and they're going to get better at speaking. They're going to get better at presenting. They're going to get better at offering feedback. They're going to get better at building relationships, and they're going to feel like they have a place. And I think that this might be the most powerful part. They're going to have a place where they feel like they belong. And that's something that is increasingly lacking in our world today. And having a place where you feel like you belong matters. And Julie, you're providing that on Monday nights.
I love that. Oh, wow. I have like a tear in my eye. Thank you, Scott. It's been an amazing adventure. Let's just say that, for me to hold a space like that, because people are really growing in that space and people are getting paid to do speaking engagements now. It's amazing.
That is fantastic. I think that's absolutely fantastic. And okay, so instant feedback. I know we're on the podcast, but from when you first met me to us talking right here today, recognizing that I know that I'm on a stage right now, would you say that I've improved?
Absolutely.
I feel more confident in speaking, even in this circumstance, even when I'm not entirely sure what to say next. I still feel confident in my ability to say it, to ask a question, and to feel like I can have an open, honest conversation, and even recognize that I'm not perfect at it, but I feel confident in talking to you about my inability to be perfect at it. And I just love that.
And, part of the process, Scott, is you doing the reps. You did the 30-day challenge.
I did.
You've been on Clubhouse with us. You've been on LinkedIn with
That
us.
challenge going. I'm still doing my daily walk and talk. I get out there and I put that out there on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook.
And you know what, Scott? That was free to do, right? You didn't have to pay any money to get that kind of education. That's an education you just did.
Yeah.
And I don't think people realize that if they really want the education, if they really want to get better, just to hit record.
Just hit record.
Hit record.
I think that, and I think that's the point that we'll probably end on is hit record. When you want to do something, hit record. Until you hit record, until you do the GoFundMe, until you recognize that you can't do things on your own, to make sure that that book happens, recognizing that you want to have this big vision of yours come true, to have your father's book be a documentary or a movie, until you hit that record button, things don't happen. So everybody, hit that record button and get things started. So Julie, where can people find you and find more about you?
Yeah, the best place is julieriga.com. I have a podcast that is linked up there. I also have a place that you can go order my book, my father's book. And then you can also get me on LinkedIn.
That's fantastic. Julie, thanks for being here. I really appreciate you being the very first guest on the Outsourcing Blueprint.
Thanks so much, Scott.
Thanks for tuning in to the Outsourcing Blueprint. I'm your host, Scott Smith, and it's been an honor to share strategies, stories, and solutions to help you scale smarter and live the life you've dreamed of. If today's episode brought you value, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who's ready to take their business to the next level. Your blueprint to success doesn't stop here. Follow me on LinkedIn or on YouTube at Akata Consulting for more tips, insights, and updates. Or to get the most value and gain access to exclusive content, group sessions, and even one-on-one time with me, join our free school community, the Outsourcing Blueprint. Remember, scaling your business is about working smarter, not harder. Together, we're building powerhouse teams to help you reclaim your time and create the freedom you deserve. Until next time, keep dreaming bold, building big, and outsourcing smarter. Let's go.